October 2nd, Jamal Khashoggi, the Washington Post columnist, was killed in a fist fight in the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. Credible? Yeah. We've heard lots of other versions since that one, but that one was never credible. In Spain, I was sitting in the lobby of a little hotel, and I was kind of startled to see on the coffee table a magazine with a great big cover photo of the President of these United States. And the caption for that title, cover, and photograph, and the lead article was this: El poder de mentiras, which means the power of lies. All over the world, people know that fake news is powerful. It has a lot of power in the public arena. Do we know when the news is fake anymore? Do we trust the news? Is there any credibility left to news? There was a time when we did. 1869, in September, under the new ownership of Adolph Oakes, the New York Times was first published with a new motto up in the left-hand corner. Say it with me. All the news that's fit to print. It's still there, that motto. Remember when we talked about the purpose of slogans, the whole point of this motto, this slogan, this new tagline, was to help distinguish the Times from all the other daily rags in New York City at the time. And there were many. And what those other papers were publishing was salacious and sensationalistic and largely unsubstantiated, like these headlines. Do you remember what they call that? Yellow journalism. It sold newspapers. Still does. Still does. So the public wanted this, and yet the Times, with its new motto, raised the bar, set a new goal. The Times lifted up for everyone something that eventually the public began to recognize as essential for a free press in a nation that was to be for the people, by the people, and of the people. Democracy. All the news that's fit to print. The key word there was fit. Fit. Meaning, the Times was setting a bar where they would provide information to the public that was, yes, new, unusual, significant, affected people's lives, but also duly investigated facts. They set the goal before the public of integrity in storytelling, in the sorting out of this world of stories we wake up to every day and ordering them for us. That's the work of journalists. And the Times, with its new motto, set for itself and the public a new standard of truth-telling. That motto has been called the 7 most famous words in journalism. The leaders of the Christian church, I can almost just look at that and say, what's wrong with that picture? The leaders of the Christian church are looked to by the general public for spiritual truth, right? Spiritual truth. Most people today look to other sources for credibility in historic facts and scientific facts, but there are some exceptions. There are those who don't care about the facts. But most of the public looks to the Christian church for spiritual truth, not facts, and yet they also, we know, look to us for truth-telling. And when we fail to be truth-tellers, and our good news isn't, then we have created for ourselves a credibility gap, haven't we? Now, I know there are some of us here who would like to point our self-righteous fingers at the woes, the current woes of maybe the Roman Catholic Church. 1 in 4 Roman Catholics is now saying they're prepared to leave that faith tradition over the misconduct that is being revealed, not just the offense, but the cover-ups. And others of us would like to point our fingers at those evangelical leaders who tried to convince us not so long ago that they were the moral majority, and their falls, huge falls from grace. But I'm here to tell you that every Christian tribe has betrayed our covenant of truth-telling, individually and corporately. So here's the thing. Our kind of tagline, or our motto, what we've put out there for 2,000 years, is that we are the purveyors of good news. Have we not? Good news. We have news for you. So what do you think is our credibility score lately as the Christian church? As any part of the Christian church? As Centennial? What is the public's level of confidence in our credibility to deliver good news? There were a lot of wild stories going on about Jesus bar Joseph of Nazareth, that Galilean wandering preacher. A lot of wild stories, things people had never heard of before. What were some of those stories? Things somebody had never heard or seen before that were being told about Jesus.
Healing on Sunday.
Healing on a Sunday, on the Saturday, yeah, on the Sabbath. Yes, that was very offensive. What else? Pardon? Yes, there were salacious stories all over the place. Prostitutes. What else? What were these stories going around, floating around Palestine about Jesus? Healing people. Come on, you know the stories, don't you? Sunday school. Next week, everybody to Sunday school. You know the stories. Walking on water. Outrageous stories. Jesus bar Joseph of Nazareth. Even his cousin John wanted to know more about his enigmatic cousin. And so from his prison cell, where he was being held there by Herod, and probably knowing that his days were numbered, John the Baptizer sends his own followers back to Jesus. Go to Jesus and say to him, can we get a statement? Is there any truth to these stories? Can you back up the claims you're making? Or are you the one? Or should we be interviewing someone else? Because it was all news about Jesus. It was unusual. It was new. Sometimes salacious, sensationalistic. And it was significant. It was really significant, especially to the people in power, both Roman and the temple. Are you the one? Or should we be looking elsewhere? And when Jesus responds, he responds with the only credibility he had. And all the credibility anyone could ask for. He said, look around. What do you see? What do you hear? The blind see, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, the dead are raised, the poor have good news brought to them. What's your conclusion? Jesus tells them, what do you see, John? That's all the credibility Jesus had. We're called, brothers and sisters, to bring good news in a world where news has such little credibility anymore. They kind of shine us on, yeah, I've heard that good news, right? How are we to be faithful witnesses in this world of ours? We remember Jesus. We remember Jesus. And we are bold enough to say to those who ask, are you the ones? To say, look around, what do you see? Oh, they're going to see fault-filled, imperfect people. But they're also going to see the sick tended to. They're going to see people whose homes were lost in fire, helped and sheltered through it. They're going to see people who are hungry down on B Street fed. They're going to see people whose homes were lost years ago in Mississippi to the flooding, still being helped through their recovery. That's what they're going to see, and more, and more. We are the people of good news. And to carry the name of Jesus, those acts of mercy are all the credibility we'll ever have, but it's also all the credibility we'll ever need. Share good news. Lay down the burdens and share the good news.